Hi everyone, another dish today from Bordo's kitchen. I'm going to make keema. Now keema in Hindi or Urdu, whichever we want to call it, is basically minced meat. It's a very famous Indian delicacy. Typically in India it's mutton. Broader Indian subcontinent you get, or even like Middle East, you get beef or lamb keema. And in parts of Thailand and Cambodia, there's a very famous delicacy, a dish, which is basically minced pork with lettuce leaf, right? So it's a very Pan-Asian dish. Now, I'm going to make, the twist today is I'm going to make this with chicken. So it'll be a chicken keema. Now, let me tell you why I have chosen chicken, right? So for most of us who are outside of India and growing up eating mutton keema, which is goat meat, versus lamb, which is sheep meat. I try to keep always reiterating that. We generally don't get mutton. Outside of India, you generally don't get mutton, right? You get lamb, and it's not the same thing. Beef, of course, is a no-go for me. So that leaves chicken, right? Because I don't get good mutton all the time here. So which is why I've decided that for all of us who are outside India, chicken, which is very commonly eaten meat, so I'm going to do the chicken keema. Now, what I do, if Julie can come closer, is I make the keema at home, right? So here I've got about 350 grams of chicken breast, which I basically cut into bite size, and I'm just going to put it in my shredder, and I mince it. I mince it at home. So if you get minced chicken, so be it, and the ingredient is the same. If you want to make mutton, lamb, beef, what have you, in the cooking process and the ingredients will be the same. So I'm just going to basically mince this in my grater, and then I come back. I will have the minced chicken, and I'll take you through the cooking process. Yeah. So it's going to be chicken keema today from Bordo's kitchen. Hi. So I've got my chicken minced now. If you don't have a grater, you can just use a heavy-duty knife and just mince it, or if you get minced chicken, that's great. Now, let me take you through the ingredients. So I've got the dry spices. I've got cinnamon. There's about 350 grams of chicken. So I've got cinnamon. I've got about 6 or 8 pieces of cardamom, about 8 pieces of clove, and 3 small bay leaves. So that's the dry spices. I've got 1 whole red onion, finely minced, because I want the onion to blend in very well with the minced chicken. I've got 1 whole small sized tomato, fully chopped, and then I've got 1 red chilli, kind of chopped, and then I've got the powdered spices, which is of course the garam masala. Then I've got coriander, turmeric, and this is Kashmiri red chili powder, Kashmiri or degi, which means it is more of color purposes, but less hot, right? And I've got about 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm going to cook this in butter. It gives additional kind of the fragrance, and of course my homemade ginger and garlic paste. So, all right, so let's now go through the cooking process. I've got my pan, my gas laid up, my pan. I'm going to put the butter. This is about roughly 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to let that heat up a little bit. So the butter is heated up. At this stage, what I'll do is I'll add the dry spices and bring it to stir this. And before the bay leaves and everything else well soaked with the butter, at this stage I will add the ginger and garlic paste, which is again homemade. It's minced garlic and ginger. So that goes in first because I want the onion and garlic, the ginger and garlic to cook before I do this. So let it just burn up a little bit. Now the thing is well cooked, the garlic and ginger. At this stage I will add the onion, literally minced onion, right? Well, the onion is now, the water has dried up. Water has dried up, and at this stage I'm going to slow the flame a little bit, and I'm going to add because the water in the onion needs to dry up, right? So that's kind of happening, and the onion is kind of turning translucent. And at this stage I'm going to add the spices. So the garam masala goes in at the end. So I'm going to first add 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. 1 teaspoon goes in, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 3/4 teaspoon of the red chili powder, the Kashmiri red chili powder. So that goes in, and of course the chopped red chili goes in there. And at this stage I'll add a little bit of salt, but the final salt test will be later. I'm going to increase the flame and bring the spices, mash the spices well with the ginger, garlic and onion paste. Yep, at this stage I will add the tomato. So kind of half of this tomato goes in there, and I will add a little bit of tomato paste, just that for that tanginess that comes in with it. And I'm going to stir that and make sure the tomato and the paste and everything else gels well to the fine color it brings to the keema. Well, now the spice and the tomatoes is all blended well. At this stage I'm going to add the keema. Right? At this stage I will I'll put the keema. And stir the keema. And this will be at a slow flame because it's going to take some doing. So let me just get all the spices and the keema get mixed in properly. Okay, so I have been offline for about 15 minutes because this is where I've got this chicken too, and now all the ingredients have gone in. The only thing I need to do is add the garam masala. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of garam masala to maybe a teaspoon and a half of the garam masala. That will give that color and the beautiful North Indian flavor. As I call the garam masala is the North Indian 5 spices, and the Pachforan is the Eastern 5 spices, right? So this is in case you want to do this with with mutton, lamb, or even beef. For those of you who eat at home, the process is the same. The ingredients remains the same. And you can, if you want, you can spice it up by adding a little bit of chili, additional chili. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water. That's about it. And I'm going to kind of I'll add a little bit more. This is hot water, and I'm going to let it cook with my timer set to 14 minutes. So this is done, and now I'll do my final salt test as usual. So let me see the salt. Perfecto, but because I added some water, let me add a little bit of salt to that. Stir it up a little bit, and I will cook it on a slow flame. I'll set my timer now. Once I cover it for 14 minutes, I'll set my timer now and cover it. So that's your chicken keema. Ingredients remain the same, cooking process remains the same. If you're making mutton or lamb or even beef, probably you need to cook it longer. So instead of 14 minutes, it'd be 25-30 minutes. But keema, remember, it's minced or ground meat. It cooks very quickly. So check that timing of. I found mutton keema, which I've made once, takes about 30 minutes. Chicken takes about 14 minutes, right? So that's from Bordo's Kitchen, chicken keema. For those of you who are outside of India or even in India, would like to enjoy a wonderful meal of chicken keema with chapati. That's what you go with, right? And that's what I'm going to do tonight. Dinner is chicken keema and chapati. Have fun, and we'll come back for dish number 31st on Bordo's Kitchen sometime in December of this year, 2018. Cheers.